Hey guys, this is James from Man Tripping and Men Who Blog. We are here at another premium tasting. This time we have some amazing wines from Mendocino County. You guys may have seen us earlier this week talking about tourism in Mendocino. And now we've got some wine tourism to talk about. We've got, it's weird talking with the wines. So we have Brutaco, we've got Hush, and we have an awesome wine from Murder Ridge, which is probably one of the coolest names that I've heard of for a wine in a long time, which is quite a feat because wines oftentimes have really cool names in general. But as far as guys and wine tasting, when you can have a cool vineyard that has cool people, well, you know what? That's pretty awesome. So rather than me talking about how much fun we're going to have in Mendocino County, let me pass this back to Bernadette, who is going to talk a little bit about the overview of Mendocino County, the different AVAs, the different stuff that would await people if they come up there for a wine trip. And then we're going to hear from the gentlemen who are joining us as bloggers, followed by the wineries. And then we're going to go right into a tasting from Brutaco, who has a really interesting sounding red blend that I can't wait to try because anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely love my Zin.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for me to kick off and welcome you all to Mendocino County. We are a beautiful, diverse, relatively large county. We're about 2 hours north of San Francisco, right up the 101. We have a very diverse county where we have inland regions, and our county extends all the way to the coast. So the beautiful town of Mendocino is in our county. And then we have grape growing regions from the Sonoma County, which is to our south, all the way north to the Humboldt County. And given the history of Mendocino County, we have some amazing historical vineyards and wine brands that many of you might have heard of, such as Parducci wine cellars or Fetzer Vineyards. The area was founded by many Italians back in the late 1800s. So one very special region is Redwood Valley and the Talmadge area, where we have old vineyards that feature Charbonneau and Carignan and Barbera and Petite Syrah, farmed by families. Many Italian families, immigrants, moved north up through California and discovered the beauty of Mendocino County, and it felt like home. It felt like they were back in Italy. And we're very fortunate that many of these original families who settled in our region, the land is still in the family. So we still have many, many historical vineyards that feature 100-year-old vines. The average size of a vineyard in Mendocino County is actually relatively small. The median size is only 14 acres. So we have the very well-known, beautiful, very idyllic region of the Anderson Valley, which bridges all the way to the coast. So it has a very strong Pacific Coast influence. So Pinot Noir and Chardonnay really thrive in that cool climate, and such that Roederer from France looked all the world over trying to find a region that would come up to the standards of Champagne in France, and decided to plant and establish a winery in the Anderson Valley. So the Anderson Valley is known for sparkling wine, Pinot Noir, and also Alsatian varietals such as Gewürztraminer, Riesling, Chenin Blanc, Pinot Blanc. So that's a fairly large region that branches from the southwestern corner of Mendocino County all the way to the coast. And as you come inland, you have the Hopland region, where Brutaco is located. You have the Russian River corridor that comes through the main area of Mendocino County. You have the Redwood Valley region, again, as I mentioned, warmer region that features many of the heritage Italian varietals. Zinfandel, we're very well known for Zinfandel in the inland Mendocino area. We also have Potter Valley, Eagle Peak. We have 11 separate American viticultural areas, AVAs, in Mendocino County, because the region is so large and so diverse. You can't say that we're just one big open valley. I'm not using Napa Valley as an example, but so you might compare us to Napa Valley. We have 11 different AVAs because we range from the Anderson Valley to the Redwood Valley to Potter Valley. It's a very special region with a lot of history. We're very diverse again in what grapes we grow. There's a lot of Mediterranean varietals, Grenache, Syrah, Carignan, Chardonnay, of course, Cabernet. So we have probably about 110 different wineries in the Mendocino region and about 400 grape growers. And again, most of these are relatively small. We have some larger vineyards, but we're very blessed that many of these vineyards are still farmed by the original family members. So it gives a lot of heritage and a lot of history. We're also very committed to sustainability and farming responsibly. We have one of the largest amount of biodynamic acres, and over a third of our vineyards are also certified organic. So farming in the sustainable method is very, very important to our grape growers and our wineries. So there you go. So James, would you like me to introduce the winemakers that we have here from Mendocino County? I take that as a yes.
I think we lost you there, James.
I think he's muted.
And I had it unmuted so you wouldn't hear the background noise from the wonderful, bustling San Diego. Which, frankly, I'm thrilled that San Diego's downtown is starting to come back, and I hope that that's a trend for everybody because we're not through this issue yet, but as tourism and hospitality comes back, I hope that everybody can have success. Anyhow, that being said, just wanted to do a quick around the horn. We've got John Bailey from Two Dads with Baggage. We've got Mike from Gentleman Racer, and we have Tom from Bourbon Blog. And you guys all know me. I'm James from Man Tripping. But hey, John, do you want to give just a quick intro to what Two Dads with Baggage is, and then we'll hand over to Mike and then Tom.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I actually grew up near the Bay Area and spent a good amount of time in Mendocino, so I'm excited to taste these wines today. I live in San Diego now with my family, and Two Dads with Baggage is our platform for travel, food, lifestyle, fitness, health, etc. And I just launched a new live stream cooking show called Dinner's Gonna Be a Little Late Tonight. And I have to tell you why. Because when I was in high school, I came home from school and my little 5-foot Italian mom was in the kitchen on the floor holding a glass of wine in her hand. And she looked up at me and she goes, "Dinner's going to be a little late tonight."
Nice.
And so we decided to name the show in her honor. And everything has wine in it. So that's the deal.
And for those, just as a shout out to John, for those of you who have not familiarized with his blog, he has some amazing recipes up on his site, even before the cooking show. That he always mentioned it was inspired by your mom, but now every little bit that you drip out, I'm like, you know what, your mom must have been a really cool lady because certainly has inspired you to do some great recipes now.
Well, those Sicilians, they know how to drink.
Foot per foot.
So how about you, Mike? What's going on your side of the world?
Well, I'm Mike Satterfield on the gentlemanracer.com. My site is mostly automotive lifestyle. We do a lot of travel, a lot of road trips, a lot of road trips through wine country because it's some of the best places ever to drive. It's just always such beautiful regions to drive through, whether they're here in the U.S. or overseas. We've done trips all over the world to different wine regions and done road trips. And it's always a lot of fun to see these great wineries and sample their wares and enjoy the natural beauty that always comes and surrounds the wine regions. So excited to be here to try some wines. And we're always doing stuff with cars and travel and wine and food and kind of thing I'm interested in. So my site's always got something new on it.
Sounds good. And then Tom, as we continue, we didn't mean to do it west to east, but I guess we're introducing people by geography now. So how's it going in Indiana?
It's going great, and hello to all of our friends in Mendocino, and what a pleasure to be joining you all. I'm Tom Fisher, founder and host of bourbonblog.com. We've always covered a lot of spirits, a lot of beverages. We started this about 15 years ago. A lot of emphasis on whiskey and spirits, of course, but quite often on wine. And I'm lucky enough to spend, typically when it's not a pandemic, I spend at least a few months of my year in California hosting whiskey tastings and events. And wine, but even before whiskey, wine was really my first love. About over 20 years ago, I worked in a wine bar in England for a little while, and that's where I learned wine, and I got into spirits, and then eventually got into having a whiskey website.
That's awesome. And then I want to remind everybody this is a live interactive show. So if you have any questions or comments or complaints, well, keep the complaints to yourself. But if you have comments or questions from our guests about Mendocino in general or specific wines, please comment and we will try to answer them live on air. And if we don't get a chance on the air, somebody will respond back to you shortly afterwards. So with that being said, Bernadette, if you want to just introduce the gentleman who we have here from the different wineries, that would be awesome.
I'd be very happy to. First, I'm going to introduce our friends from Brutico Cellars here in the Hopland Inland region. We have the winemaker Haas Maloney, and I see we have a new guest who's joined us, Steve Brutico, down in the lower right corner. So again, this is just one of the many family operated, owned and operated vineyards and wineries in Mendocino County. And obviously with a name like Brutico, we've got a little Italian heritage going on, and Maloney, yeah. Again, as I mentioned, there's a history and a genuine sense of community that runs very, very deep in Mendocino County. And anyone who comes here and visits will feel that genuine warmth and hospitality. Haas is probably fourth generation Mendocino County. Third. So I'm gonna jump from my friends at Brutico to the upper right hand corner. Zach from Hush Vineyards. Hush Vineyards operates a winery in both the Inland Corridor and the Anderson Valley. I believe they were the first tasting room, maybe the first winery in the Anderson Valley. And Hush, yeah. And so Zach, you are fourth generation?
Third generation in the business, and depending on how you count generations, fifth generation Mendocino County.
Right. And he's working on getting his next generation engaged as well. Good luck, right? And then on the lower left-hand corner, we have my friend Steve Alden, who farms in one of the most dramatic and beautiful, I can't say the most beautiful region of Mendocino County, but it is dramatic. I think you can say it's definitely dramatic, and that is Mendocino Ridge. And Steve has really created an amazing magical vineyard up on the top of these ridge tops that are part of Mendocino Ridge. So super excited to have Steve talk a little bit about what he's doing, the Mendocino Ridge appellation, as well as his new brand, which is Murder Ridge Wine. So there is the introduction of our friends here from Mendocino County.
That sounds good. And then I know we're going to start with Haas. We've got your rather me telling about what I can read off the bottle. Why don't you tell us about what the wine is? I know it's a Zin blend. It's got a whole bunch of really interesting stuff in there.
All right, thanks, James. So so this is our Coro. Coro's program in Mendocino County. It's the first consortium in the United States. It's a Zin-based blend. It's the same as I think of Chateau Neuf de Pape or Chianti Classico. There's regulations on how it's made. So this blend is a blend of Zinfandel. We actually put on the back label what's actually in these wines. Zin is the main component in any Coro. It has to be according to our bylaws. So it could be no less than 40%, no more than 70%. So that way you can't call it a Zin. A lot of people don't realize Zinfandel is a great blending grape. Zinfandel being a true heritage grape of Mendocino County, it's something we all grew. We decided this is what we wanted to showcase. So this wine is actually only 58% Zin, 15% Barbera, 12% Syrah, 7% Primitivo, and yes, Primitivo is different than Zin. It is not the same grape. 6% Sangiovese, 2% Petit Syrah. So with the Italian heritage in our areas and with the Brutico family and my Italian family, a lot of Italian varietals go into this wine. So we grow all these wines. It's 100% estate. So we have about 350 acres of grapes planted in southern Mendocino County. Our AVA is Mendocino, which is the largest of the AVAs in Mendocino County. And we have vineyards on both the east side and west side of the Hopland Valley. We take all these wines, we look at them, we sit down, and the thing about Coro, which is really unique, is that the winemakers all try each other's wines. So there are right now 10 different Coros in the 2016 vintage. So think of Coro as the brand and Brutico is the wine. So that's one way to think of it. So every winery's Coro is different from each other, but we sit down and blind taste them. So that makes it a lot of fun. There's a lot of camaraderie here in Mendocino County, and we help each other out a lot. And so what happens is you sit down and blind taste these wines, and we do that for 4 tastings, which is mandatory. And then it goes through, it's called a pass-fail tasting at the end. So you can actually go through the whole process and not be able to be called a Coro because of that. So what you have is this great wine that is kind of helped along by listening to other people critique your wine, which sitting in front of guys like you and around the world and other wine critics is easy. But when you're sitting at a table with 10 of your peers judging your wine, it's a little nerve-wracking because there's always that one wine you hope is yours and the one wine you hope isn't. That's usually your wine. And then I go home and I open my bottle of bourbon, Tom, because it takes a long time to appear.
Good plan, yes.
Yeah, so
that bottle.
You cry yourself to sleep, come back, put your big boy pants on, and go at it again with another blend, and you keep working at it. So there's always something going on. Just quickly, Brutico, we do everything from Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnays, Zinfandels, Merlot, Cabernet, and of course we have 4 Italian varietals: Dolcetto, Primitivo, Sangiovese, and Barbera. So we hit a pretty big spectrum. So with this wine, it's a great, beautiful red wine. The thing about Coro is no Coro is the same. No matter if it's 2016, the Brutico Coro is not going to be the same as a Parducci, or it's not going to be the same as a Jackson Keys. They're always going to be different wines. So when you get these wines, you really get the essence of Mendocino County, and you're looking more at the premier, usually trying to be more of the premier status. So with this, you get that lovely pepper spice that our Zinfandel vines bring us. There's a nice pepper in the nose. Our vines tend to give a white pepper to red pepper, not black. It's usually like this one's a little more white pepper to me today. Then you're going to get that great, like a little strawberry essence from the Sangiovese. And you get all these different fruit components. So each varietal brings something, a little raspberry from the Primitivo. The Barbera has a blueberry note. So what you're doing is you're bringing all these essences together, and you're getting this beautiful bright nose along with a little bit of wood in it.
Now, just to back up a second, I know what Primitivo and Zin get confused as being the same sometimes, but can you explain what exactly the difference is so that people, when they see it on a wine bottle, can understand,
Yeah, that's it. I like to explain. There's a couple different ways, but my favorite way to explain it is this: is that Primitivo is the second most planted grape in Italy. Sangiovese being number 1, and it's mainly from the southern region. So think of Primitivo as the great grandfather who still lives in Italy. Think of Zinfandel as the great grandson who lives in California. Although their lineage is the same, one plays video games and the other one's never heard of one. Okay, so they're totally different people. They're totally different aspects. And our esteemed legislature said, we're just going to say it's a Zinfandel Primitivo clone, and that's going to make our life a lot easier. So they just stamped it when it came into the United States. So that caused a little bit of confusion also. I find myself personally with our Primitivo, Zinfandel loves American oak. It really stands out in it. It loves it a lot. Where Primitivo doesn't excel as well. It likes that little sweeter, a little bit more of the nuance that a French oak will give it. So that's where we see the biggest differences. I don't get a lot of pepper out of Primitivo where I do in Zinfandel, Zinfandel maybe darker, redder fruits, more raspberry red fruits in Primitivo. So that's kind of the differences that you see in the two.
Cool. Thank you. And thank you, Amy, for tuning in. She's apparently a fan of yours, Bernadette.
I don't know how many fans I have.
Well, there's at least one. So
One's all you need, Bern.
Who loves you, Amy? Checks in the mail.
There we go.
I'm enjoying this. It's a lot of times the Zins are kind of overly dry, but this one has a nice fruity without being too sweet, and it kind of takes off some of the bite that I normally have with Zin. So I like the
it's not a high alcohol Zin either. The Zin's because it's a blend of all these other varietals, and because Mendocino County, what we have is a very natural air conditioner that happens at night. We could be 100 degrees during the day, but at night we'll cool down to 50, 60 degrees. So the grapes can relax a little bit. They like about the same temperatures that we do. So we don't get that overheat spikes that stay hot all night, where you get that more of that pruniness to higher alcohol overripe Zins. So you get more fruit and spice because we hold acid in our grapes. And so that's where that spiciness in the fruit comes from. And then the oak selection I use is to actually elevate that and give it a little bit more, and it punches it because the oak's got a little sweetness to it also. So that's kind of the reason why you get that in this wine especially. So Mendocino County Zins are very distinct. You can tell them from other Zinfandels because you don't usually get that port or pruning characteristic where they're a little bit, the higher alcohols. But even when you get a higher alcohol one, it still has a lot more fruit in it because it still has lots of good acid.
Yeah, I definitely
very
get
good.
some of that notes James was mentioning, and I also get you were mentioning raspberries. I get kind of a raspberry almost it goes into kind of a creaminess, so it kind of has this slight hint of raspberry ice cream without becoming too sweet. I really like that, and there's this nice lacing of kind of a chocolate thing through it. Again, it's reminiscent of the cacao of the chocolate, but again, not too sweet. Really, really well balanced. A lot of layers. And you were saying the Primavito. I've seen that in other wine regions in California. Is that something we're seeing more and more being done in California?
Yeah, you're seeing more and more Primitivo and Sangiovese. Sangiovese, there was a lot of it planted early on. The Calitalias, were really big, but they kind of fell out of favor, so they got replanted. But people are finding Primitivo as a softer style for a Zinfandel style like wine. It's still very specialized. You don't see a lot of it being planted, but it is being planted a little bit more because people think it's Zinfandel. It's kind of a little confusing for them to do that. Right. But that creaminess you're talking about, and that's actually from a certain barrel we use. That's a 3-year-old French barrel with a medium long toast in it. That's what actually brings that out. It's that caramelized. It gets that chocolate. Gets that little bit of chocolate in it, type of a thing. So that's where that kind of flavor profile comes from.
It's really a nice one. I love the layers. You've done a great job with it. It's really lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been 90+ points for 5 years running on this wine for the last 5 vintages. So yeah, we're very pleased with it.
Well done. Yes.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little
left
left out.
A lot of things.
Right?
Need some.
I should note that I am drinking rosé because that's what I love to drink. And so I am drinking a beautiful rosé because in my world, every day is the perfect day for a rosé.
And it matches your glasses and it matches your dress or your shirt.
Thing going on. Just want to make sure you guys all took that in. Okay, yeah.
Well, rosé has maybe a bad rep in the U.S., but maybe a good rep. I'm not sure how it slides, but as being kind of an overly sweet, kind of an American suburban housewife kind of drink. But I'm really excited.
I am none of what you just mentioned.
No. But I think for the uninitiated, we think of kind of the very light pink, overly pink wines that our moms and grandmothers drank at a barbecue when we were doing beer and wine and whiskey or whatever. But there's some really fantastic rosés that I think a lot of guys, if we could kind of get over the fact that it's pink, could really enjoy because it's definitely not just a girl's drink. It's actually the rest of the world.
Oh yeah.
I think what you described. I think it's already happened.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago, rosé certainly had that baggage. We were scared to make one for that reason. But boy, oh boy, we can't make enough right now. My guy buddies drink it. My wife's friends drink it. It's happening right now.
It's a great
In fact,
summer
it's the
drink,
fastest
yeah.
growing varietal.
I think among guys who know wines and guys who are already wine drinkers, that's definitely true. But I think there's still the wine industry is still marketing it towards women, and I think that's that for the mass market side of things, it's still a girl's drink. But I'm doing what I can to change that preconception, because frankly tomorrow I'm going to be sitting up in a winery at the top of a mountain drinking rosé all day, because it's really, really nice when it's 90 degrees and you're in the sunshine.
You and me, James, will lead the way then.
Well, me too. Cheers. It's kind of one of the inner winery secrets, because winemakers have loved to make rosé for years and years and years, because the reality is quite a few places where you're growing grapes, it gets warm and you can't drink Cabernet every day, right? You need something cool and refreshing. So in the wine industry, most wineries always made a little bit of rosé, even if they never even put it in the tasting room. It was kind of like for staff and the winemakers, and it was a coiffer. And so I'm just really glad that, the consumers are embracing a serious rosé. I'm drinking a Pinot Noir rosé, of course, from the Anderson Valley. So it's just, anyway, that's my every day is a great day for rosé story.
Well, people are also learning how to cook with rosé. They're learning how to match it with foods they never thought of. And it's like one of the things I tell people all the time. Thanksgiving dinner is perfect for rosé. Roast turkey and rosé are excellent. And I always tell people one of my favorite things is grilled bison burgers in rosé work really well, because it's a sweeter meat and it really does well. You don't have to have in a dry rosé work. So I think people are learning that more and more, and it's getting to be a year-round drink. So.
Well, Bernadette, and I'll extend the invitation to the gentlemen who are here. But if you want to do a rosé show coming up in a month or two.
Are you kidding me? I would love that.
Well, I think it would be an interesting topic, and I definitely, because again, I think rosé, the fact that you mentioned it's a rosé, a Pinot Noir. The rosé that I like at the vineyard that I go to is a rosé Grenache.
Oh, my favorite. Yeah.
And they're, to the uninitiated, they'd think rosé. That the same way that Chardonnay, and Chardonnay has a huge spectrum in the palate that really depends on what you're trying to go at, and rosé even more so, because it's not even the same grape from one bottle to the next. So if that's something that you guys would be interested in, and also to John, Mike, and Tom, that you'd be interested in exploring with us, I would love to do that. But
I love refined rosés, just like you, James. There's some out there that are overly sweet, but the incredibly well done ones are amazing and just so fitting for summer and just for the right pairing. And Bernadette, is there something about the rosés in Mendocino that we should know about? Is there something that's a hallmark quality that you all get?
Well, again, we have these distinct growing regions. The Anderson Valley, again, Pinot Noir, and what I'm drinking is a rosé from Pennyroyal, which is one of our wineries in the Anderson Valley. This particular rosé won Best of Show at the Mendocino County Fair Wine Competition 2 years in a row, the last 2 years, which is very unusual. I worked for a brand in one of the iconic appellations in Mendocino County called McDowell Valley. And McDowell was planted to the Rhone varietals, and they actually had old Grenache Gris vines. And so they made traditional Grenache rosé from the same varietals that you'd find in Taval and Provence, and dry, phenomenal rosé. So I sort of cut my teeth on that. And then if you think about the inland corridor, we have Sangiovese and Carignan and some other great varietals with a lot of acid that you can pick early on that just might give you a hint of color. You're not going to find great rosés from Petite Sirah, for instance. So we have a lot of those wonderful varietals in the inland corridor as well, where you're going to make some really stylish, dry, sophisticated rosés.
Nice, very nice.
And a lot of blended rosés in the inland corridor too, because we may not make it a rosé out of Petite Sirah, but there's probably 1 to 2% of Petite Sirah in it. to help spice it up and add to it. So you're going to find little more tannin structure. I think you're going to find in our rosés in Mendocino County, because we have the acid. It can sit on the skins a little bit more, so you're going to get a little bit more of that skin tannin. So I think the structure's there and the flavor profiles, but like I said, every winery is going to be a little bit different, and that's the best thing about it with the cool growing regions we have.
Well, we have a question from Julie in Los Angeles who says, for someone who's starting to get into wine, what's a good recommendation for a Mendocino wine?
Oh boy. Well, I would ask Julie what kind of wine she likes, because we make it all and we make it great here in Mendocino County.
Well, and while she's responding, I know different wine regions have different kind of styles. And it seems like you guys are all kind of laid back and fun and making great product. Clearly, because I had some other wines earlier, but you don't seem pretentious. You seem very approachable. Is that consistent across the county?
Well,
Somebody
should I
else
call
got-
out anyone in particular as being the opposite of that? No. We definitely have a camaraderie. We all get along. We all have fun together. There's definitely, it's a reflection of who we are in terms of a casualness. We take our craft seriously, but on the other hand, we like hanging out with each other. So that's what you're picking up on.
Cool.
I'll say something too. I apologize. I kind of crashed the party here. I thought I was just going to be watching, but here I am on the screen. But we've all known each other, the five of us, for more than 20 years. I see Steve and Zach, and there's a little less hair up there. And
Hey!
And Bernadette, great to see you guys, because it's been a little too long, but that's the camaraderie's there for sure. Gosh, we've been doing this for at least 20, maybe 25 years, and we all sat on the board together for years, and so here we are all again. But yeah, that's why Coro worked, because Haas and the other winemakers, while they'd see each other and talk to each other a little bit, now they're working with each other, and all the wines are getting better. And that was the goal of Coro so many years ago, is to get these winemakers together to talk wine and learn from each other and help each other out. And I think not just the Coro wines are fantastic, all the wines in Mendocino have gotten better. So that's, again, thank you for letting me crash your party. I thought I was just watching. It's nice.
Hey, no problem. I saw you pop in. I'm like, okay, we already have somebody from Brutico, and there's a dude that's hanging out there in the green room. But I wasn't entirely sure what was going on. But hey, you know what? If he's here, he can be part of the party. So I'm glad that I'm glad you're able to join. So Julie,
I heard you say Brutaco, and he had to crash.
Is it Brutaco or it's Brutico, correct? Brutico. Okay, I apologize. I feel like that's gonna be one of those words I'm gonna trip over. But I have the rest of the bottle to practice, so
that'll help.
As long as you buy the wine, James, we really don't care.
And that's actually a great question. I'll drop Julie's question out there for a little bit. But so clearly you guys have wine clubs and you have wine tasting rooms. Are you guys also available in distribution through like Total Wine and Bevmo and that kind of stuff, or what does that look like?
I think I'm going to kick this one to Zach, because I think some of our brands are very, very small, but we also have a good sampling of mid-sized brands, which you will find across the United States. But Zach's really kind of the expert on our wholesale channels as it relates to the size of Mendocino County. So yeah, I'm kicking that to you, Zach. Go for it.
What fun.
Right.
Total Wine is a mixed blessing. But yeah, you can find probably 6 to 8 Mendocino wineries at Total Wine. You will find some Hush there. I bet you see a Brutico there. I can't swear to that. But yeah, there's a handful of brands in Total. Just don't let those guys at Total take you off and show you like their brand that they like to sell you. Yeah. But I would say, go ahead.
I think that's fair. And then I also know that you guys also have your grapes appearing in a lot of big name brands that are Napa Valley. Or at least associated with Napa, but that your grapes are selected because they're high quality. So I know that's something that probably a lot of people that may not know that they've had Mendocino wine have definitely had your product in the past.
Yeah, you're spot on. When we do the numbers for the county, we see that about 30 to 35% of the of the fruit is actually bottled in a bottle that says Mendocino County wine, where does the rest go? And the answer is there are nice friends down in Sonoma, our nice friends in Napa. They're putting it right into their bottles too. And it may not say Mendocino County on it because maybe they're only using 10, 20% of the juice in that bottle. But yes, that happens a lot.
Well, let's go on to into the next one. So I don't know which way we want to go. I'm kind of.
We should kick it to Steve because I think I know we went to Coro, but I think y'all can refresh your palate with a little beautiful Chardonnay from the Mendocino Ridge. And then I think, Zach, are you doing Pinot? What is your varietal?
We got Pinot going on.
All right, so we're going to finish up with Pinot. Perfect.
All right.
This is a beautiful bottle.
It is lovely. Thank you. And my wife did the art on that, actually. She does all
and
the
Amy's
design.
actually, thank you, Amy.
Yeah. Right. She was trying to distract me on the other side of the computer. I held my will. Yep, there she is. So, in any event, I'm Steve Alden from Murder Ridge. And talking about, when you guys are talking about larger and smaller wineries, there were 60 cases of this made.
60. 60.
Wow. Cases of this Chardonnay made. I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer up in the Mendocino Ridge area. I farm about 30 acres of grapes. We have about 2,000 acres, and we have 5 different timber, and we have 5 different blocks of vineyard. And this comes from what we call our potato patch block up at 2,000 feet elevation. So, generally speaking, we're going for a crisp, not too much oak. In fact, this is 100% neutral oak on this, and we want to show the vineyard, not the oak, and not what we can do to the wine.
Steve, quick question. How many vineyards are up in the 2,000 feet elevation? Because you said it was that as though it was sort of normal, but I think it's very atypical.
Right. Not at 2,000 feet and up, or probably 3 or 4 vineyards total.
In Mendocino County or in the state?
In the state, in Mendocino. I'm thinking Mendocino Ridge. I'm sorry.
It's still very high.
Yeah. And so, it brings lots of challenges to the farming, and that type of thing. So, perhaps, I don't know if we want to go back a little bit on the Mendocino Ridge AVA and what makes that different, and a little bit, us farmers up there consider it special. The Mendocino Ridge AVA is on the coast of Mendocino County, in southern Mendocino County, and it's the areas above 1,200 feet. And so the fog sits at about 1,200 feet, and that fog comes in and cools off Anderson Valley and brings their nighttime temperatures down quite a bit. For us, we're above that. So right first thing in the morning, we're getting the sun all the way through from morning to evening. If we're in the fog, we call it low clouds. So, but occasionally, that type of stuff. We are in the fog. This time of year, we traditionally run a little bit cooler during the day and warmer at night. We did a temperature inversion, and so while other areas of the county might heat up, we'll be about 5 degrees cooler on the coast. But at night, it doesn't really. We'll get like a 15, 20 degree swing, where Anderson Valley is getting 40 to 60. I guess, yeah. So, you guys have any questions about the Chard?
Well,
tell us a little bit about it, Steve.
Well, first I want to throw it back to Julie. I threw her thing up on the screen, and then we kind of got away from it. So I'll just let kind of each of you three can, since you guys are here, let us know which of your reds would you think would be a good recommendation for. And obviously, I'm partial to the Brutico that we just tasted. Honestly, Julie, I'm not sure what you prefer, but the Brutico is a really, really nice. Well, I mean, you already heard us talk, but I cast my vote for that one. But I'll let you guys talk.
I'll jump in there. Julie, if you're in California, you can go to a Bevmo and you can get a Hush Pinot Noir. It'll cost you less than $25, and you're going to get a great taste of what the best Pinot Noirs from the Anderson Valley in Mendocino County are going to taste like. And it's super easy to find. All you got to do is drop into the Bevmo.
I would say looking the Anderson Valley Pinot Noir like a Hush. I would look for an interior a Zinfandel if you really want to taste Mendocino County. Even Steve's Murder Ridge Zin is a great Zin, and the Zinfandels from Brutico for a red wine. I think that would really give you a good feel for what Mendocino County is about, kind of give you the gauntlet of that. And then from there you can experiment, because you're going to find even the Zinfandels and the Pinot Noirs are going to really spread the gauntlet of different flavor profiles. And I think those would be three good ones to start with the two Zinfandels from us and the Pinot from Hush.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. So Steve, I've already tasted. I couldn't wait. I jumped ahead a little bit.
Oh no!
But why don't you tell us a little bit about what I'm
I
tasting?
need to leave now. I'm going. So tell us a little bit more about the Chard. So to me, wine, it's all about mouthfeel. Okay, to start with, if you don't have the mouthfeel, nothing else really, you can't get any farther. Right? And so when I try this, and I try this Chardonnay or any other wine, I want front to back. I want nice weight on the palate. To me, this has all of those things, and then it has a nice lemony type of citrus to it. We're using Dijon, get a little more nerdy. We're using Dijon 76 clone, and also a little bit of Robert Young in this one. We have a little Wente, but there's another. So I own Curly Vineyards, and that's where these wines come from. And every winery has kind of their own little. I want this. I want that. I want this. And so for the Murder Ridge, we're doing 1/4 Robert Young, 3/4. We got adding my head real quick. 3/4 Dijon 76. This is 100% neutral oak, even though it seems like it has a little bit of oak on the palate. It is 100% neutral. It kind of, but it's fermented in oak, and it kind of walks that line between oak and people that are doing stainless, where it's just mineral, which is where I think it's kind of getting some of that mouthfeel. It's all about the farming and the farmer. It has nothing to do with the winery. I'm not that bright.
Well,
Cheers,
cheers to the farmers.
Yes.
Cheers to farmers.
Yeah, that's one thing. Talking about Mendocino County, I think that you'll find different is Mendocino County has a higher percentage of people who own their vineyards actually farming their vineyards, which is something you may not see so much in the other counties. And for example, I'm the guy out there every day, on the tractor, I'm thinning fruit. I'm doing the whole bit. I have 3 guys who work for me. They know the vineyard. They watch the vineyard as close as I do. I know, Zach and Brutico, and everybody's kind of in that same thing. Everybody's taking care of their own fruit. They're on the property. They're part of the land, which is really cool, I think, when it comes to farming and sustainability and being able to have all that stuff together, and it comes out in the product that everybody's producing in the county.
I think that's one of the things that I love about visiting Mendocino County and Anderson Valley in particular is the authenticity, the quiet experience. It's not this mass market feel. There's not busloads of tourists being unloaded to tromp through tasting rooms. You get to meet the winemaker. You get to walk the vineyard. It's very much of a more personal connection, and that's one of the things I love most about it. I can't wait to travel again, and when we all can, it's as though you're visiting the wine country decades ago. Even though I know you've been there a very, very long time, but it feels more family. It feels more approachable. And for me, I'm not a super expert. And so it's able to sit down with a guy like Haas and just have you explain to me, like, okay, why is this wine taste this way, and why is this other one this way? Because I walk away feeling like I've had a great experience, and I've fallen in love with yet another varietal that I didn't even know I liked. So we were talking about rosé earlier. I didn't even think I liked it until somebody taught me about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. And I'm a gay guy, so it's like I can drink pink, no problem for me. But it's not. It wasn't. I always think of, and I say this with love, Sutter Home, and they had sort of a early take on that market with their white Zinfandel, and that is what is in my head. So it's just. I applaud you for staying small and true and authentic, because I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to come visit.
We can't wait to
have you come visit too.
Yeah.
We just got to solve that vaccine thing, and then we're up and running again.
Yeah, well, I'll be there when it's time.
In the meantime, it's only about an 11-hour drive from San Diego, or about six hours if the cops don't catch me.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. I really love this Chardonnay. I get what Steve was saying. The citrus, the really clean flavors. Actually, on the finish of this, I get, and I don't know if anyone said it yet, I get kind of a white chocolate and a marzipan. I mean, it has that kind of note to it, which I typically don't get on Chardonnays. Again, I know that's a sweeter characteristic, but it's not overly sweet. But I love that kind of white chocolate note I'm getting.
It's the farming, I'm sure.
Yeah. No.
Actually, yeah, and we Steve. Been so long since Steve. Yeah. Anyway.
What I love about doing a tasting with the farmer is the fact that if it had been just a pure winemaker, you would have invented some mystical thing of, well, it's actually the combination of the blah 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 from blah blah blah, but instead it's like, no, it's just the farmer. So,
absolutely.
So I appreciate that no bullshit.
Just don't screw up good grapes. As long as you have good grapes.
Right. No.
But also the role of the farmer is completely underestimated to probably the typical wine drinker. They think it's all about the vintner. And at this point, honestly, anybody in the country has access to, within like a 2 or 3 hour drive, a wine country of some sort. Do yourself a favor and go to that wine country. And then honestly, there are some that are better than others, and there's some that are more well known than others. But virtually every winemaker and every winery owner that I've ever met is incredibly passionate about their product. And just go and ask them and talk to them about, tell me about the grape. Where was this grown? What was the soil like? And you'll learn so much about the fundamentals of wine that it'll open your mind to the possibilities of new things. You'll start understanding why, not better, not worse, but why a Texas Hill Country wine is going to be different than a Sonoma County or a Mendocino County or a Michigan wine. I've had amazing wines from all those areas. Michigan has some great wines. Well, we'll have to have that battle later. But no, Michigan has great wines in Southwest Michigan, but then some awesome wines up in Leelanau and Mission Peninsula too. So, but we're talking about Mendocino here, so I'll get back to to you guys.
We ship grapes all the way back to New Jersey, so they have some good wines in New Jersey too. So that's fine.
Wow.
Irene's asking, Trevor is asking, are the tasting rooms open right now?
Let me just quickly answer this, because I know we want to make sure we have some time to talk about Hush and their beautiful Pinot Noir. That is a phenomenal example of Mendocino County Pinot Noir. Yes, our tasting rooms are open. They're open by reservation. I suggest you go to our website. I am the executive director of Mendocino Winegrowers. So our website is mendowine.com. And you'll see on the homepage there is a feature called Sip Safely, Mendocino County. And you can search for all those wineries that are open for outdoor tasting or available for curbside pickup, meaning if you order your wine in advance, you could stop by to pick up their wine. So yes, we are open. We're doing a beautiful job of tasting outdoors, and we are sipping safely in Mendocino County.
Awesome.
Yay.
And then
Sipping safely. I like that.
And then Irene has a question about, do you have any unoaked Chard? And I assume the answer is yes, but I'll let you answer that. And then clearly, yes, as much as I'm enjoying the Chardonnay, I would definitely want to make sure we don't leave out the guys from Hush. So
I'll quickly say yes. We have every realm of Chardonnay, from your oaky butter bombs to your stainless steel clean, beautiful acidic crisp apple Chardonnays. So we have a wide range of wines for all the different categories, and Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Zinfandel, Cabernet, all of them. So absolutely, we can suit every palate and your preferences for your varietals. Excellent.
So Zach, I guess we've saved you for last, and I'm sure it's the best, but I don't want to I don't want to make the other guys jealous. So because we're not picking favorites here. Just I don't even know what kind of order we picked. We just kind of did things somewhat randomly. So Zach, tell us about what we're about to drink here.
Well, I was hoping to go last. That way I could recruit people to come work for Harvest, because you're catching us right now in the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And all these barrels around me here, we got to get those filled, and it doesn't happen by itself. So we're going to start. We're going to start 5 days from now, Tuesday or Wednesday next week, and we're at that
soon.
like pre-harvest jitters. What's that?
Soon.
Oh yeah, it's really upon us. We things got moved forward a little bit. We had a little heat wave go on all of California. We're catching a break right now, but it really advanced the grapes quickly, like it or not.
So
let me tell you what's going on at Hush.
I say, is that ultimately going to be a good thing or a bad thing?
You know, it kind of depends what's going to happen in the month of September, because that will be more of a direct influence on the grapes. If the weather mellows out now and we have a nice mellow September, no rain, no big extreme weather events, it's all going to work out perfect. And even if it does rain and be 100 degrees, we'll find a way to make it work out perfect. Right, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Cheers to that.
Well, cheers to that.
Right. It will end up being right.
Exactly. So let me tell you what the view looks like outside my doors here at Hush. One side of the property are these 150-foot redwood trees. It's second growth, but they regrow that quickly. So we've got this whole grove of redwood forest to one side. And then off to the next side, we have the Navarro Creek and Lazy Creek and Mill Creek. We're nestled in tight with our watershed, and these are important things to us, finding ways that we can work as farmers with a minimal impact on the fishery that's around us. And then off to the other side, we have our neighbor who is still representing the history of the Anderson Valley, which was sheep grazing. And so right up against our split redwood fence, we have the sheep baaing at us all during the harvest. And in fact, during the winter, we'll knock the fence down and the sheep come running into the vineyard and eat that green grass that they've been eyeing for so long and never had access to. So what I'm trying to say is I got a pretty good gig when I go to work in the morning, right?
Nice.
So Hush has been around in the Anderson Valley since 1971. We were the first winery in the region. And what's going to blow your mind is that Anderson Valley was a failed wine growing region for a long time.
Wow.
So many different people tried to grow so many different types of grapes, and it never really worked out. And so what was exciting for us in those late 60s and the early 70s is Hush and some of our neighbors at the time were able to find what the right grapes were to grow in the Anderson Valley. And it turned out it wasn't the Italian varietals. They just don't thrive on the valley floor. And it wasn't Chenin Blanc, like so many other vineyards were doing in California at the time, at least. And it wasn't Cabernet, even though UC Davis said, plant Cabernet. We couldn't get it ripe. But we found Chardonnay, and we found Gewürztraminer, And then finally, in 1973, we found Pinot Noir. And those three varietals have allowed us to just grow and really make the wines we wanted to make in Anderson Valley. So let's jump into this Pinot Noir that we're tasting right now. Now, I don't write the winemaker notes. I don't write the tasting notes for this wine, but I kind of look at this from the farming side like Steve. And so what I taste here is I taste tears, I taste sore muscles, and I taste stubbornness.
Mostly stubbornness.
Yeah,
Yes.
right?
Well, that would certainly make an interesting review in Wine Spectator.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, with notes of tears and
The tears are happening just today. And what I'm thinking about is in our fields, we have sent the crews out and we cut about 20 to 25% of the fruit to the ground. These clusters, they're almost red, perfect Pinot Noir. Snip, snip, snip. And the reason being that it was a little bit too much fruit to make the perfect wine. The grapevines were fertile this year, and that's great, but it's more than what we want. And so you make that hard choice, because as a farmer, Steve knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's hard to look at afterwards. In fact, it's better just to give the instructions and then not look at the results.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for the last 3 weeks. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, maybe that ties into the sore muscles, which I'm going to say are part of the taste of this wine too.
Yeah.
After we harvest the wine and we bring it into the winery, we ferment it in these open top fermenting bins on the floor of the winery. And for that to work successfully, we go after it with these big punch down paddles 3 times a day. And it's exhausting work. You're just plunging this paddle in, mixing up the skins and the pulps with the fermenting juice. And after you go through 60 bins and do that, you get a couple-hour break, and then it's time to start over again. You know, the big wineries may have pneumatic tools that take care of that, or some other trick. They might not use open top fermentations at all, but it's the old world way to do it, and it's the right way to do it. And so sore muscles be damned, it's what we're going to do.
Now, Irene likes to start a battle, I think. So she's asking, how would you rate your Pinots to those from Oregon?
Oh, wait, does Oregon do Pinot? I hadn't heard that. When
I saw her comment, I was like, should I just ignore it or should I throw it up there? But I figured if I ignored it, then it wouldn't go good. But I've now had 3 different Pinot Noirs from Anderson Valley, and I've enjoyed all of them. I don't like to compare wines because I think each wine has its own unique, personality. There's some bad wines, of course. And there's some really good wines, but what do you guys think? What's your perspective on Anderson Valley versus? I'm assuming when she said Oregon, she's talking about Wilmette.
Yeah, it's probably Willamette, but there's a whole set of growing regions in Oregon. It's a different beast up there. They have longer days, and in general, it's not going to get. They probably have less heat up there compared to us. There's a lot of similarities. Oregon Pinot Noirs tend to be bright. They tend to be a little bit higher acidity, which is something we always aim for. That's a good thing in the winemaking world. So I look fondly on many Pinot Noirs from Willamette and other Oregon regions. What do you think, Haas?
I always think they always compare them to Anderson Valley, so it just says it all.
Yeah. We are different from some of the more Southern California or even Central Coast Pinot Noirs or even Sonoma Pinot. That does taste notably different than the Anderson Valley in a lot of different ways. But yeah, Oregon has some parallel.
I'm far from it. Oregon grape growers got a lot of their tips from Anderson Valley because of the colder climate growing. So a lot of what happened in Anderson Valley is why Oregon actually prospered the way it did even more. I mean, it's not that you can take the claim for it, but it helped out a lot.
Yeah,
I'm far from an expert here, but one of the things I think that I like about the Anderson Valley Pinot Noirs, they tend to be a little bit lighter, maybe. And again, I don't know if that's just the sample size that I've had versus the sample size that exists overall, but they're a little bit lighter, and maybe when you chill it a little bit, they're really, really pleasant. whereas I kind of feel like some of the ones I've had from Oregon maybe a little bit heavier, a little bit maybe technically better. I'm not wine spectator. I don't know, I'm not a som, but I just know what I like. And
Sure.
I like your Pinots when they're chilled, but I like a Willamette Pinot when it's maybe served at a steakhouse with with a nice piece of meat.
Yeah.
I'm all
I tell
aboard
people
on-
all the time, the only difference between a wine connoisseur and a wino is a wine connoisseur pulls the brown paper bag off the bottle to see what he drank. So drink what you like. That's what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
The mouthfeel on this Pinot Noir is really nice. I mean, it's the softness of this. I really love the mouthfeel. Great texture. It's and some really nice vanillas come through too. Some kind of unexpected characteristics along with the fruit. Nice.
Thanks, Tom.
That's the key.
Zach, we have a member of our family that is Som in New York City. And when I was talking to her and explaining the wines we'd be tasting tonight, she's like, "Oh, Hush is my everyday wine. I love Hush."
Oh,
Like,
what a great compliment.
That's
yeah,
great.
it was like it really, really nice things to say about it. So she wanted to know if I was tasting the Pinot. I was like, "Yes,
Hey!
She goes, that's my wine. That's my wine."
That's great.
And thank you, Irene. We always enjoy having interaction from the audience.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, yeah, on this Pinot, this is our reserve Pinot Noir. And what that means is we have the luxury 6-7 months from now, we'll go back out to each of these barrels individually and ask, should we pull these couple barrels out here and start building a reserve wine out of it? And so without any fixed rules about what the wine can be or should be, we're able to tap into different fields or perhaps wood from different coopers that is really going to be a fit for that growing season. And that's one of the magic pieces of building a reserve style wine, that you're able to do that selection.
And when you have a reserve like that, how many barrels is that?
Well, you can divide the total cases produced by 25, and that'll tell you how many barrels went into it. So on this one, I know we did, I think a little bit under 300 cases. So let's do some quick math there. 12 barrels were selected.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it all depends. Year to year, it could be more, it could be less when you're doing things like that. The best part is that right now, walking the vineyards, tasting the grapes as they're ripening, you kind of have an idea of what areas are going to give you those grapes that are going to give you those flavors. And you start matching that, the soils and the clones and the profiles in the vineyard to what you want to do at the winery, not to maybe enhance it, to show it off even more. So that's one of the great things, like we keep talking about Mendocino County, where the winemakers are out in the vineyards. And a lot of times they're the vineyard managers or the vineyard owners, like Steve, like Zach. And, and for myself, I've been out in the vineyard since I was 5 years old. So I've been doing this. So I'm a grape grower first. So it's always talking about doing things with grapes and making the best quality grapes first to make the best quality wine. And I think that's Mendocino County. And essentially, that's what we do.
And I have to also interject that one thing that it's hard to put into words, but the quality of the wines that you will find, and the integrity and the passion and the heritage, the farming, all of that goes into these wines, the value that you will find for Mendocino County wines. These wines are amazing quality at an amazing value.
Yeah.
So no one's ever going to walk away feeling that they did not get their values worth when they purchase a bottle of Mendocino County wine. I think quite often they'll be like, wow, that was an amazing wine. Why didn't I find it sooner? I'm going to be going back for Mendocino again and again, because the wines are great. They're amazing. They're fruit forward. There's amazing quality and history, but value. I mean, our wines are really great values.
So if you don't mind me, I try not to look at the beginning what the prices are, and frankly, all three of these are really delicious. I would love to have more of these, and I might buy some more myself. But what are the price points of the wines that we tried tonight?
Well, Coros are priced around $40.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
Is $35.
And that reserve Pinot we did from Hush is 42.
Okay, so they're yeah, I would agree 100% with you that the
Excellent
value is absolutely there, because if it was in some, actually not just some, but most of the wineries south of you guys, that would be at least 50% more price wise.
Yeah.
And certainly in some places much more. I mean, I think this Pinot is absolutely fantastic. It's got the right balance, and again, or in that case, I guess if it was north of you, it would probably be even more expensive as well. So, thank you for keeping things affordable.
Yes.
Our Cuvée Pinot Noir, which is the bigger blend that we make, you can also find in the market at $25. And so this is right to Bernadette's point. A lot of Mendocino County whites are in the teens. So really great bargains. And I always joke that because we're not in Napa, we didn't have to buy the $1 million chandelier. We saved a lot of money right up front.
Now, all of you guys have wine clubs, correct?
Yes.
Are you guys doing anything interesting in the wine clubs as far as how they're structured, or what would one do?
I'll jump in. We did a pretty aggressive sale when the whole COVID thing hit, and we priced wines at $10, $15, $20, $25, and $30. Pretty significant discounts, and it was really fantastic. It was just simple, boom, free shipping, and you got your wine within 2 days, 2 to 3 days.
Cool.
That helped. I know a lot of other wineries are doing fun, easy, simple things like that.
Is that still open, or is that long gone?
That's a little bit gone, but keep your eyes open. We've got other things going on. We've got a warehouse sale ready to start up, and our wine club shipments come out in September.
Well, definitely feel free. I mean, if you don't have my information already, but feel free to email me directly, or Bernadette through the PR agency. Feel free to contact me, because I definitely would love to give you guys more love in the future. I've really enjoyed this.
What you're describing is...
I'd be happy to pass that along too. So if you get that information to me, I'll throw it at my audiences as well.
That direct-to-consumer wine sales, either through our tasting room or through our wine club, or people who just call up and say, send me a case. That's really the bread and butter for us Mendocino County wineries. That one-on-one connection is how we sell wine. We don't get a ton of representation in Costco or Safeway or Total Wine, whoever it may be. You have to be a little bit bigger to get there. So yeah, this direct connection with the customers is how we really move a lot of our wine.
Cool. Well, thank you. I don't know if Tom or John, if you have anything else to add, but
no, this was great. Thank you. I've learned a lot, and they're delicious. So thanks for sharing them with us, and I'm happy to share that with my my gang. So thanks for including me.
We look forward to seeing you in Anderson Valley, John.
Cheers to farmers, cheers to winemakers.
I'm coming.
Cheers.
Yep.
So
Farmers.
James, you're always welcome, as everyone is in Mendocino County, in any way that we can reach out to your audience and help share our love and appreciation for all the special things we do here in Mendocino County. We're always available. We're just a computer away these days. So thank you for taking the time to visit us in Mendocino County. And so I'll say cheers, and cheers to all my friends here in Mendocino County. It's been fun to have a little wine hour with you all. I miss you.
Cheers.
Sounds
You
good.
too.
Cool.
We miss you,
Now
Bernadette.
I get to jump
Really
to
nice
that virtual
to
taste. Right on.
Well, I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, but if you guys want to stay around after I hit the end broadcast button, I'd love to talk with you guys some more. So have a great day.